दशभुजवाली मां निर्मला की जय बोलो जय बोलो। कोई पूजे अष्टभुजा कोई तुझे दशभुजवाली मां निर्मला की जय बोलो जय बोलो। जितनी सवारी उतनी चाहे कोई दया न खाली मां निर्मला की जय बोलो जय बोलो। झूम झूम नाचो रे झूम झूम
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Deputy Lord Mayor of Sydney, Alderman Henry Tsang.
Welcome to Sydney, Shimotachi. This is the first time that I've listened to Indian music, but it brings me a lot of happiness because I can see all the young people from all ethnic backgrounds, including Anglo-Celtic culture, who can sing such beautiful songs, and it brings a lot of happiness not only to me, but I can also see the radiance of the happiness as we walked in. You must be a great person, even I do not know you too much. Tamashayi, we all know the teaching of yoga and meditation is of great potential benefit to the Western society. We in the Western society often think that yoga is just physical exercises, but indeed, as I have learned, yoga postures are just a way to keep the body fit for meditation, the true heart of yoga practice. As I mentioned before, I grew up in China and Hong Kong, where Buddhism was the main religious practice. My wife is Buddhist and my parents are Buddhists, and they practice meditation, which they consider to be central to Buddhist religious practice. Buddhism, Taoism, yoga are all based on an attitude that sees humanity as part of nature and not separate from it. In China, people used to live with nature without conflict. But in the last century, that has changed, mainly from Western influence. Instead of seeing themselves as part of nature, the Chinese began to take the Western view that humanity has domination over nature. This attitude breeds a sense of separation and alienation and is at the root of many social and environmental problems. Yoga comes from the East, meditation comes from the East, but is a teaching of universal benefit. Yoga goes back over 3,000 years, and meditation in one form or another is known in nearly every culture and every religion. Yoga firmly grounded in physiological reality and a dynamic understanding of the nervous system. Yoga is of immense value in a culture where stress-related disease is endemic. It is clearly that in the West, people are now seeking a better balance between their inner and outer lives. By encouraging us to practice meditation, Share Mataji, you are helping us to achieve a better balance between our inner and outer life. Thank you so much, and welcome to Sydney.
Thank you. We'd like to thank you very much, the Deputy Lord Mayor, sir, for your kind introduction to the subject of yoga. In Saj Yoga, yoga means your connection with the all-pervading power of God's love, which we call as self-realization, which is really very important because once it happens, automatically all those things that are promised in the yoga system of Buddhism or yoga system in Zen, Tao, anything, is the same. as being practiced in ancient times in India in yoga. It is called as Sahaja Yoga. Sahaj means spontaneous, because it is the yoga of the living process of your evolutionary process. That's why it is called as Sahaj. Sahaj means born with you. Born with you is the right to have this spontaneous union with the divine power, which is all pervading. As it is, we are not aware of this power, but it exists. If you see these flowers, you see yourself, how you are made, who has done this great job of evolutionary process. It is being done by some power, and that power is the all-pervading power of God's love, which is described in all the scriptures everywhere. Buddha was so anxious about the self-realization and meditation that he said, first, let us not talk of God. Let us not talk. Let us talk of the self first. That is the first step we have to take, that we should first understand ourselves, because unless and until we understand ourselves, we cannot understand God. And as I told you, any religion you want to follow, unless and until you have got self-realization, you cannot follow it. Because you do not have absorption. You cannot absorb it inside yourself, so it cannot become an innate religion. It has to be an innate religion. And now we have found, after people have come to Sahaja Yoga, automatically they become Sahaja Yogis, automatically they give up drinks and what you call alcoholism. They give up also horrible things like drugs, and so many things just disappear. But most surprising is that so many diseases are cured with this Sahaja Yoga. We have got now, as I told you, there are 3 doctors who have got MDs for 3 diseases they tried. Was the blood cancer, one epilepsy, and the third one was asthma. But there are so many diseases which are automatically cured by your own power. It is your own divinity. It is within you. And nobody has to feel obliged about it. It is just within you, it's built in within you. All the system that you should see here is all built in within you. This is tree of life. And once this awakens, this power awakens, it just passes through 6 centers, pierces through your fontanelle bone area, which is actually the actualization of baptism or self-realization. In Sanskrit is called as Brahmarandra. This is called as the hole which opens to the Brahma, means this all-pervading power. So the words are different, but has the same interpretation. Now the days are such that we are understanding that we have gone into a lot of imbalances in life. Also in nature, as he said, it is very important to understand what is our relationship with the nature. What is our rapport with the nature? As it is, we have alienated because of too much of materialism, perhaps, that we have gone out of control. But whatever it is, once you get your realization, you are just immediately established. As I say, this is an instrument, but it's made nicely, all built in, but unless and until you put to the mains, it has no meaning. In the same way, you have to be put to the mains. Now, there are so many lights here, you see them. Now, if I have to tell you about all the lights, how they came, electricity, how it came, and all those things will be quite a headache. But if I just say that there's a switch you just put on, it will work out, because it is built in. Because it is built in you, it can be done with great ease, without any difficulties. That's why Sahaj also means simple, easy. Also it means spontaneous, because it's a living process. It's just there, and it works in no time. It is remarkable how people get their realization so fast. And I assure you, sir, that Chinese are one of the best Sahaja Yogis we have come across. They are wonderful people.
As I have to go to a meeting.
Now we have to thank him very much for coming down. And he has to go to a meeting. He found out time to come here and help us. So we should give him a hand, I think. Thank you. Thank you. As it is, lot of introduction is there about Sahaja Yoga. And I've been coming to Sydney many a times, and it has worked wonders, I must say. So many people have got their self-realization, not only in Sydney, but in so many places. And it is taking roots now. Still, I told him that I was surprised that in Russia, it is spreading like fire, spreading really like fire. In one place called Taliyati, we have 21,000 Sahaja Yogis who are practicing Sahaja Yoga. It's very remarkable. So many doctors, scientists, all very well educated people. Also, there are many others who are farmers and who are doing other kind of work. It's very surprising. This Taliyati is an industrial town where so many people have got realization. It is the sensitivity to spirituality which is important. You see, people make money with falsely, tell stories, we'll do this, they claim this, claim that. And we get interested. They have money, they get money, they can go to television, they can put up big posters, they can do lots of advertising, and these are the days of advertisement. Any hoax, anything, if it is advertised, we just take to it. But we must understand that it's not the advertisement that should be appealing, but one simple understanding should be there, that if it is God's love, if it is divine power, if it is a living energy, then how can you pay for it? You cannot pay for it. But it is so much in our mind that we have to pay for everything. Unless and until you pay for something, people think it's not worth it. Also, all the religions that people have been following, as he said, Buddhism is there, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, anything. All religions, I must tell you, are all wonderful things. If you read them, you'll be amazed. We have very wrong ideas about Islam, wrong ideas about Judaism, very wrong ideas about Christianity, and wrong ideas about Hinduism. If you read their books, scriptures, you'll be amazed whatever they are saying is absolute truth. But where are we going wrong is that we cannot absorb that. There's such a disparity between a Muslim and an Islam. There's such a disparity between a Christian and Christ. I mean, you just can't imagine how can that be. Now just imagine, now in Azerbaijan, you must have heard about it, these people who are supposed to be Christians are Armenians, who have killed thousands and thousands of people and ambushed them. How can they do it? They are Christians, how can they do it? Vice versa, Muslims have killed so many people. Hindus have done, if not so much killing, but they have what you call them the caste system. When it is said again and again and again that everybody has the spirit within their heart, everybody is a spiritual personality. So how can you have caste system? So all these things have deviated from the right path. And that's why people feel frustrated. I was surprised, I heard that people now here are so frustrated that go taking to Islam religion or to Buddhism from Christianity. It's just the same. There's no difference whatsoever. Because you will never be able to follow these religions because they cannot be absorbed by you. Religion is within us, as you see there, this green part, there are 10 petals as you see there. That's the one. Is the area where we have our valencies. As carbon has 4 valencies, we have 10 valencies. And these valencies, once enlightened, you just become righteous. You just enjoy your righteousness. You don't have to think about it, that whether I'm righteous or not. You just become automatically. And this is what is your own power, which has to be just awakened. Like this instrument without the connection has no meaning. You cannot use it. But as soon as you connect it, it becomes useful. In the same way, your own personality, the glory of that, the beauty of that, starts expressing and manifesting, and you are amazed at yourself I never knew I was like this. All these conditionings you have had so far, through religion maybe, politics maybe, economics maybe, whatever it is. These conditionings are just your mental projections, which are linear in movement, and they boomerang on you. You see, you produce so many things, now recession. If you produce science, out of science some things, then hydrogen bomb, oxygen bomb, this bomb, that bomb, atomic bomb. This is what happens, because when you start thinking from your mind, we have no balance. It doesn't move all sides, but spirit is something, the light of the spirit moves everywhere. So today, we are having the first program today. They said I should introduce Sahaja Yoga to you. And tomorrow I'll be telling you in details about the spirit, what is the nature of the spirit is, and how it acts, and how it is benevolent to you, to your family, to your country, and to the whole world all over. It is something that has to be done with understanding, with an open mind, like a scientist. Whatever I'm telling you today should be not followed blindfolded, but what you have to do is to keep your mind open. Whatever I'm saying should be a hypothesis, and if it is proved, and if you find it works out, then you must accept, because this is for your good. What is the need to be identified with this group, that group, or this name, or this brand? These are all brands. You are a human being, and you have to become a superhuman being. It's a simple thing as that. You should not have any brands on your head. So, this Sahaja Yoga is just a natural way of achieving that higher state of spirituality, which we call the spirit. And this spirit, when it starts manifesting in your attention, you are amazed at yourself that how you could do all these things. First of all, you get a state where we call it as thoughtless awareness. When it crosses this center, as you see there, when it crosses this one. Thoughtless awareness means you are completely aware, but you are without thoughts. For the thoughts rise and fall, again thoughts rise and fall. And we are jumping on the cusp of the thought. But supposing you try to be in the present, you cannot. You are either on the future or on the past. You cannot be on your present, because you are jumping on these cusps of these thoughts which come from your future or from your past. So now how to come to that point when you will be in the present? To come to that point is very simple, that when this Kundalini passes through this center, she takes down these two institutions which you see there, left and right, which are conditioning and ego, and makes you stand in the present, into thoughtless awareness. Then whatever you think comes as original thoughts, as the spiritual awakened thoughts, as inspirations, as new ideas. It's tremendous, because this all-pervading power is the ocean of knowledge. And once you are connected with it, all that knowledge starts flowing through you. Then the second state, when it pierces through your fontanelle bone area, which was a soft bone in your childhood, you become what we call doubtlessly aware. Means that you have no more doubts. You're sure about it. You know that you have achieved it. You can feel it on your fingertips. This all-pervading power which you have never felt, you can feel it on your fingertips, and you can feel your Kundalini coming out of your fontanelle bone area. But this connection has to be established. And to establish this connection, one has to little bit know what's wrong with yourself and what is to be done. That takes hardly any time. Once this connection is established, with some people it is established in no time. Some people think too much, argue too much. It is beyond mind. Then it takes little time. But you get it, and then you are amazed at yourself. It's already a very huge, big society where there are 62 nations, people from all over, who have become beautiful people, very beautiful. Such brotherhood, such sisterhood, relations, they have become dynamic. Look at these Australians singing Sanskrit and Marathi songs. Hindi, which is the easiest language, the English who lived there for 300 years could not say one sentence. We had to break our heads with them now, say this. They couldn't pronounce. The tongues were so thick, I should say. They said this is a tongue twister language. Whatever you may call it, they couldn't just say it. And look at these boys and these girls. How easily they are singing. How did they get this dynamic force within themselves? Apart from that, we have got, even in Australia, some people became very well-known artists. They became very good musicians. Everywhere it is showing results. In India, we have got some great musicians who are now world famous. So it's just as a byproduct you get it. It is just as a byproduct of this awakening of the Kundalini, you get all this thing. But the main thing you get is the spirit. And the spirit is the source of joy, source of absolute knowledge. Of course, about this I've told you that I'll tell you about this tomorrow. But one thing is, one has to know that it's such a unique thing to know yourself. We don't know ourselves. It's important, but once you know yourself, you know your centers. You know yourself what's wrong with you. And if you know how to correct it, you'll be all right. But you also know others, because you get a new awareness called as collective consciousness, where you can feel what's wrong with other people, what's wrong with you. And again, if you know how to correct the problems of other people, 99% people you can help and cure them. If they get realization, they can also cure. Above all, you can give realization to people. You can change it. You can help. I mean, I cannot go to the 62 countries, you can imagine, at this age. But it's working like this, that one light gets enlightened, then that light can enlighten another. That's how many people have been enlightened. But for that, one has to understand in Sahaja Yoga, you have to be collective. We don't have elaborate things as people have, big places, because they make money out of it. But we have humble, nice places where you can come, forgetting what your position is, what your standards are, just as ordinary seekers you come there, and you become a master of this art. Once you become the master, anyone, any race, anyone can become the master and can make so many people yogis, means realized souls. This is the blessings of the modern times. It could not have been possible in the olden times. You see, it's a mess, we can call it, the illusions and the whole stress and strain, as he was saying. All this put together has brought forth the necessity for people to seek something beyond. And that's how you are here as chosen ones who want to have your self-realization. This is for the introduction today, but tomorrow I would like to tell you all about Sahaja Yoga. The collectivity is the only way you can be cleansed out. There's no other way out. But very simple. Formerly people had to go to Himalayas, stand on your one leg or on your head for years together, do this, do that. No penance, no sacrifice, no sufferings, nothing. But you have to come to the collective. You have to give some time to yourself and to your realization. Now about meditation, you don't have to meditate. You are in meditation, where you become thoughtlessly aware. When you are in the present, spirituality starts growing. So the meditation is only to achieve that state, which is very easy also in Sahaja Yoga. So you are in meditation, you do not have to meditate. This is what it is. And also, as he said about Buddhism, the Buddha also said that the future Buddha will be Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means not that they will only get enlightenment, but they will spread it to their societies, to their countries. And this is what it is, today's Buddhism. I hope the Buddhists understand that and get the benefit of it instead of thinking of sacrificing and becoming ascetics. There's no need to do that. Those days are gone. You have already done all these things in previous lives. In this life, now you enjoy the fruits of that. Thank you very much. Of course, today is the first day, and I would like you to ask me some questions about Sahaja Yoga, anything like that. एक हिंदुस्तानियों से बात ये करनी है कि आप लोग यहाँ पर आते हैं और बीच में से ही उठ के चले जाते हैं. ये आपका धरोहर है, आपका हेरिटेज है, और आपको इसकी कोई इज्जत नहीं. सारे हिंदुस्तानी बीच में उठ के चले जाते हैं, लोग देखते ही रह जाते हैं कि क्या पागल लोग हैं, यहाँ आए काहे को थे. जैसे ही रियलाइजेशन शुरू हो जाता है, उससे पहले उठ के चले जाते हैं. इतनी बेवकूफ़ी लगती है और दिखने में इतना भद्दापना लगता है. आपको आना ही नहीं चाहिए था, और अगर आप आए थे तो आप शांतिपूर्वक इसे प्राप्त करें. जो चीज़ प्राप्त करने की, ये आपका हेरिटेज है और ये आपको प्राप्त करने का. पर मैं देखती हूँ कि सब हिंदुस्तानी लोग इसी तरह से बेवकूफ़ियाँ करते हैं. कुछ अच्छे भी हैं, ये नहीं कि नहीं है, पर अधिकतर हिंदुस्तानी लोग उठ के पहले चल देंगे. अब इंग्लैंड में तो ये हो गया कि कोई हिंदुस्तानी आता है, उनको पीछे बिठाते हैं. क्या क्यों? कहें तुम्हें अधिकार ही नहीं. तुम यहाँ आए हो इंग्लैंड में, तो जैसे आम का पेड़ इंग्लैंड में आ जाए तो उसमें आम तो आएंगे नहीं, पर सेब भी नहीं आएगा, वो हालत है. आपको जैसे कहीं गुरु शॉपिंग में लोग घूमते हैं, इस तरह से अगर घूमना हो तो गलत बात है. हिंदुस्तानियों को तो ज़्यादा इज्जत होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि ये सब उनका धरोहर है. उनके कोई ऐसा धर्म हिंदुस्तान में नहीं हुआ जिसने आत्म साक्षात्कार की बात नहीं करी. तो कृपया जो भी हिंदुस्तानी लोग हैं, कम से कम इज्जत से बैठे रहें. बेइज्जती नहीं होनी चाहिए अपने देश की. All right, if you have any questions, please ask.
There are some microphones with numbers on them if you want to speak into those. Are there any questions? I really can't. Super ego. Right. They would like a little more explanation of the super ego.
About?
The super ego, the top of the left hand.
I see. Now these are actually psychological terminology, but in the actual Sanskrit scriptures, they are called by some other name. But in psychological terminology, say it is expressed like this. Especially Jung has done a lot of work on it, that a mother is nursing the child, and the child is very happy. So then mother wants to take the child from one side to another side. So the child feels very hurt. His ego is hurt. He's enjoying something. So his ego develops. Then she says, don't do that way. So the conditioning comes in. So the conditioning develops. But actually it has something more scientific than that, which I have explained to people what happens because our brain is like a prism. And when the rays of awareness passes through it, it goes into refraction. And because of refraction, the right side rays go to the left and left side rays goes to the right. That's why if you have paralysis of the brain on the right side, your left side gets paralyzed. But the central part is straightforward, and that's how the Kundalini goes down and settles there. Because of this refraction, we have a problem. This refraction, if it is broken into two resultants, one goes inside the spinal cord as left sympathetic or right sympathetic, and another goes out. And the one which goes out reacts, especially in human beings because their brain is more conical and has refractory qualities. So when you see something, you start reacting. And this reaction builds up on one side, it builds up from this side, from the left side, whatever comes in builds up the right side thing, what we call as the superego. And from the right side, whatever is enters builds up the ego. Well, it's quite a long thing and can be explained to you much more. When you come to Sahaja Yoga, you'll be amazed that it explains this Chinese idea also of the brain very clearly.
Dear lady, you said that we can be in a state of meditation. Well, for me, if I am listening to someone that vitally interests me, my mind becomes quiet. Say, good music. How are we going to have this state of meditation otherwise?
What's it? I couldn't get you.
You're saying, Shimala, that if we have quietness,
Hmm?
if we have quietness,
Quiet?
such a quiet, if we are quiet or if we are listening to music, this calms down the mind. How can we possibly have meditation any other way? I think he's querying, you were saying, you have to be in meditation, you don't meditate.
This side you come there, I think follow this light is too.
Sorry. He was saying he doesn't understand how we get into meditation without being quiet.
Oh, yes, that's it. So the question is, how can we get into meditation without becoming quiet? This is what I have explained already, but I'll explain again. That brain is all the time bombarded with thoughts.